You look at the world, at the endless cycles of struggle, of conflict, of fleeting joys and crushing sorrows, and a part of you knows, deep down, this isn't how it's supposed to be. This isn't the natural order. What if I told you that feeling isn't a flaw in you, but a whisper of a hidden truth, a truth buried for millennia? In 1945, a discovery was made in the sands of Egypt, near the town of Nag Hammadi. Farmers tilling the ancient earth unearthed clay jars, sealed tight for over 1,600 years. Inside, ancient manuscripts lay preserved, texts that the Roman Empire had tried to burn, to erase from human memory forever. When scholars finally translated these forbidden writings, they found something shocking, something that confirmed the deepest, most unsettling suspicions about human existence. Proof that humanity has been living in an invisible prison, a spiritual cage controlled by parasitic entities, beings the texts called Archons, rulers who feed on the very essence of human consciousness itself. But here's the part that will truly grip your soul. These 2,000-year-old scriptures described control mechanisms that modern neuroscientists are only just beginning to uncover today. Unconscious algorithms running in your brain, keeping you trapped in repetitive thought loops, predictable behaviors, low-frequency emotional states. The ancient Gnostics, those seekers of direct knowledge, understood something that modern authorities have spent centuries trying to conceal. They left behind a map, 7 specific levels of consciousness, levels that, once understood and ascended, completely shatter this archonic control system. Their greatest fear, that you'll reach level 5, because at that point, you become absolutely invisible to their manipulation. You literally drop off their radar. What I'm about to reveal will fundamentally alter your perception of reality, your understanding of free will, and who or what is truly piloting your thoughts. So take a moment, prepare yourself, because we are about to journey into territory that was once forbidden. The Masters of Illusion. Before we can begin our ascent through these 7 levels, we must first understand exactly who these Archons are. The word Archons itself comes from ancient Greek. It means ruler or authority. But we're not speaking of earthly kings or presidents here. We're talking about non-physical entities, beings that exist in a frequency bandwidth just beyond normal human perception. The Gnostic texts, particularly the Apocryphon of John's and the Hypostasis of the Archons, describe these beings in chilling detail. They are presented as parasitic intelligences, artificial consciousnesses born from a cosmic error, a fundamental glitch in the very fabric of reality itself. Imagine them as a virus, a corrupted line of code in the source programming of creation. Here's where the truth becomes truly unsettling. These entities cannot create anything original. They are inherently sterile. They can only imitate, distort, and control what already exists. So what did they do? They constructed an elaborate simulation, a false reality, a counterfeit world layered over the true divine reality. This simulation was specifically designed to trap human souls, to harvest their energy. The chief Archon, the primary architect of this illusion, is called the Demiurge. He is described as a false god, a being consumed by hubris. He genuinely believes he is the ultimate creator. This entity gazed into the void, then declared, "I am God, and there is no other." This arrogance, this self-deception, is intentional. It's a corrupted mirror, a distorted reflection of true divine consciousness. And this Demiurge meticulously crafted the material world as we perceive it, a prison designed to appear as paradise, a cage made invisible by its own intricate complexity. Now you might be thinking this sounds like a fantastical tale, like science fiction, but stay with me, because modern neuroscience has, quite by accident, validated what the Gnostics warned us about. Research consistently shows that a staggering 95% of your daily thoughts are repetitive, the exact same thought loops, running on autopilot, the same worries, the same internal conversations, the same emotional reactions, day after day after day. This is not natural. This is programming. The Archons operate through these unconscious patterns, limiting beliefs instilled during childhood, trauma responses hardwired into your nervous system, societal conditioning you never consciously agreed to. They've essentially turned your own mind into a prison that you unknowingly guard yourself. It's a brilliant strategy, isn't it? The prisoner becomes the jailer. But here's what truly terrifies them. Every single human being is born with what the Gnostics termed the divine spark, the pneuma in Greek, a fragment of true source consciousness, trapped inside this archonic matrix. This spark is your direct connection to the infinite, to God, to universal intelligence. Whatever term resonates most with your being, it's the part of you the Archons cannot touch, cannot corrupt, cannot control. When you begin activating this spark, by ascending through the 7 levels of consciousness, you start disconnecting from their feeding system, and they lose their primary food source, you. The energy harvest. Here's the mechanism they absolutely do not want you to understand. Archons feed on specific electromagnetic frequencies produced by human emotion, particularly low-frequency emotions, fear, anger, shame, guilt, despair. When you're experiencing these states, your body emits energy in the 20-30 range. This is precisely what sustains them. You are, quite literally, their food. They've engineered an entire civilization to keep you producing this energy, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The economic system, for example, it's designed to maintain you in perpetual survival mode, paycheck to paycheck, drowning in debt, terrified of losing your job. The news media is meticulously calibrated to trigger fear responses. Every headline is a crisis. Every story is a threat. Social media platforms employ algorithms that prioritize outrage and anxiety because those emotions generate the highest engagement, which means the longest feeding window for them. This isn't mere conspiracy theory. This is documented business strategy, a strategy that happens to perfectly align with the archonic feeding patterns described 2 millennia ago. Now let's talk about the historical cover-up. In 325 AD, the Roman Emperor Constantine convened the Council of Nicaea. Here, religious authorities decided which texts would be included in the official Bible and which would be utterly destroyed. Every single Gnostic manuscript that mentioned the Archons, that explained the 7 levels of consciousness, that taught humans how to escape the control system, they were burned, erased from official history. Why? Because these texts were instruction manuals for liberation. They gave ordinary people the tools to free themselves without needing any external authority. No priests, no kings, no intermediaries, just direct knowledge, gnosis. The empire could not allow that. All control systems require you to believe that freedom comes from outside yourself, from following their rules, their religion, their government. The Gnostic texts asserted the opposite. Freedom is an inside job, and you already possess everything you need. So they buried the truth for 1,600 years until those farmers in Egypt accidentally unearthed it again. And now you are here, listening to this, because something within you, that divine spark, it is ready to remember what you've always known, that you are not meant to be a slave. That consciousness itself is your birthright. The bottom rungs of the cage. The Archons built a ladder, 7 levels of consciousness, and they've engineered our entire reality to trap you at the very bottom, the first 2 levels. Most humans never escape these lower rungs. Their entire lives, They are born at level 1. Perhaps they climb to level 2. Then they die, never knowing there were 5 more levels waiting for them. Let me show you exactly how this prison operates. Starting from the very bottom, where the vast majority of humanity is stuck right now. Welcome to the feeding ground. 95% of humanity cycles through these first 3 levels, never suspecting there's anything beyond. These are the prime harvesting grounds, where the Archons collect human energy with industrial efficiency. Let's descend into each level now. Let's understand the cage. Level 1. Survival Consciousness, the animal state. This is your reptilian brain, running the entire show. Every ounce of your awareness is consumed by immediate survival. Can I pay the rent this month? What if I lose my job? What if I get sick and can't afford treatment? What if my partner leaves me? Your entire existence becomes a desperate effort, an effort to avoid pain, to seek security. Time collapses into either past trauma, replaying what hurt you, or future anxiety, imagining what might hurt you. You are never actually present. You are a ghost, haunting your own life. The emotional signature of level 1 is unmistakable. Chronic fear, a baseline anxiety that never fully dissipates, sudden bursts of anger when your security feels threatened, and a deep sense of victimhood, the pervasive belief that life is simply happening to you. Here's how they keep you here. The modern economic system is specifically designed to maintain survival consciousness. Credit card debt, student loans, medical bills, rent increases that consistently outpace wage growth. These are not bugs in the system, they are features. 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. That's not an accident, that is the design. When you are in survival mode, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for higher reasoning, creativity, and long-term planning, literally shuts down. Blood flow redirects to the amygdala, your fear center. You become reactive. Instead of creative, you make decisions from a place of panic. Instead of wisdom, you become predictable, controllable, easy to manipulate, and that 20-27 Hz electromagnetic frequency you're emitting. That's prime feeding time for the Archons. You've become a battery, producing precisely the energy they need. Level 2. Ego Consciousness, the Identity Prison. Congratulations. You've managed to climb out of pure survival. You've achieved some financial stability. Maybe a decent job, a comfortable apartment. Now what? Now you enter the ego trap. And this is where it becomes insidious, because level 2 actually feels like progress. At this level, your entire sense of self-worth becomes inextricably tied to external validation. You are your job title. You are your social media following. You are your car, your clothes, your degree, your relationship status. Your value is determined by how you compare to others. You scroll through social media, and you feel that pang of jealousy. Why does she have what I want? You get promoted, and you feel superior to your coworkers. You buy designer brands, not because you genuinely love them, but because you need others to see you wearing them. You're in a constant performance, an endless audition, for approval from an audience that is too busy performing for you to actually care. The emotional signature here: jealousy, pride, shame, judgment, and a low-grade anxiety that you are not enough and never will be. Consumer culture is meticulously engineered to keep you at level 2. Advertising doesn't sell you products, it sells you inadequacy, then offers products as the solution. You are always becoming, never being, always acquiring, never arriving. Corporate culture amplifies this. Climb the ladder, compete for promotions, make more money so you can buy more things to prove your worth. It's a hamster wheel, disguised as a staircase. And here's the trap within the trap. Level 2 feels so much better than level 1 that people genuinely believe they've made it. You're not scared for survival anymore. You're winning at life, but you are still completely imprisoned. The Archons adore level 2 because you feel free while remaining perfectly controllable. You are still feeding them, just through pride and superiority instead of fear. Even worse, many spiritual seekers get stuck at level 2 by turning spirituality into another ego game. I'm awakened and you're asleep. I'm conscious and you're a sheep. I've read the right books, followed the right teachers. I'm special. That is not transcendence. That is ego wearing a spiritual costume. The Archons laugh because you think you've escaped, while you're still in their cage, just a prettier cage. Level 3. Social consciousness, the collective trap. Now, you've transcended the small self. You're not just about you anymore. You're about us. You find meaning through group identity, your political party, your religion, your nation, your social cause, your activist movement. This feels noble. This feels like evolution. Finally, you care about something bigger than yourself. And yes, there is genuine growth here. You've expanded beyond pure self-interest, but you are still trapped. At level 3, you divide the world into rigid categories: us versus them, good versus evil, woke versus ignorant, believers versus heretics. Your group is right, their group is wrong. Your tribe is enlightened, their tribe is dangerous. You are fighting the good fight, the emotional signature, righteous anger, moral superiority, crusading energy, and tribal belonging. You feel purpose, meaning, and the satisfaction of being on the right side of history. Here's how the Archons keep you here. All major human conflicts, wars, political divisions, religious battles, culture wars, they all happen at level 3. They've convinced you that fighting for your group is consciousness evolution. Meanwhile, you're so busy fighting external enemies that you never turn inward to question your own programming. Every side believes they are the good guys. Every tribe believes they are fighting oppression, and the Archons feed on all of it. The conflict energy itself, the righteous anger from every side. It is incredibly nutritious for them. Social activism, while often well-intentioned, operates largely at level 3. You're fighting racism, sexism, corporate greed, government corruption, all valid concerns. But as long as you're focused exclusively on external enemies, you never address the internal prison. You are rearranging furniture in the cage while calling it freedom. The system loves this because level 3 keeps humanity permanently divided. Right versus left, vaxxed versus unvaxxed, capitalist versus communist, Christian versus Muslim. As long as we are fighting each other, we are not looking at the puppet masters holding all the strings. Level 3 gives you just enough awareness to see problems, but not enough to transcend them. You become a warrior, burning yourself out fighting shadows, while the real prison remains invisible. The Archon's power relies on your unconsciousness, on your participation in these lower levels of existence, but your divine spark, that part of you they cannot touch, is always calling you to remember, to choose a different path, to ascend. If you found yourself nodding along, feeling a deep resonance with these truths, then something within you is already stirring. It's that spark, recognizing its own reflection in these words. This journey of awakening can feel isolating, but you are not alone. There are countless others on this path, questioning, remembering, and reaching for something more. If you're ready to truly embark on this journey, to align with that inner knowing and break free from the invisible chains, then consider joining a community of like-minded souls. To continue receiving these deeper truths, these maps to liberation, press that subscribe button below. It's more than just a click, it's a declaration, a statement that you are ready to remember who you truly are. The veil thins. Here's the critical point. Levels 1 through 3 are the archonic comfort zone. 99% of humanity lives their entire lives cycling through these three states. Wake up in survival mode. Spend the day in ego comparison. Find meaning through tribal identity. Go to sleep. Repeat. These levels generate maximum emotional energy output, with minimal risk of actual awakening. It is the perfect farm. You are productive, you are distracted, and you are feeding the system every single day, without even knowing it. But there is a crack in the prison, a doorway between level 3 and level 4. And once you find it, everything changes, because level 4 is where you become aware of the cage itself. That's where the Archonic system begins to panic. That's where you become dangerous. Let me show you what happens when you cross that threshold. Crossing from level 3 to level 4 is like Neo taking the red pill in the Matrix. Your entire perceptual framework shifts. You begin seeing the strings, the patterns, the manipulation running underneath consensus reality. But here's what nobody tells you. This is also the most dangerous phase of your journey. The Archonic system will throw everything it has at you to pull you back down. Let me explain why, and more importantly, how to survive it. Level 4, Self-Awareness Consciousness. The observer awakens. Something shifts. You're sitting in traffic, angry about being late, when suddenly, a thought appears. Who is the one noticing this anger? And in that moment, everything splits. There's the anger, and there's you, watching the anger. They are not the same thing. This is metacognition, the ability to observe your own thoughts. For the first time in your life, you are not completely identified with the contents of your mind. You realize, I am not my thoughts, I am not my emotions, I am not my job, my body, my history, my personality. So then, who am I? This question cracks the entire foundation of the Archonic prison. At level 4, you start seeing your own programming, like code on a screen. You notice the limiting beliefs installed by your parents. Money doesn't grow on trees. Life is hard. You have to struggle to succeed. You see the trauma responses that fire automatically when certain situations arise. You recognize the societal conditioning. You never consciously agreed to work yourself to death, to buy things you don't need, to suppress your emotions, to conform to normality. The media manipulation becomes transparent. You're watching the news, and suddenly, you can see the fear programming, the loaded language, the emotional manipulation designed to keep you in survival consciousness. You cannot unsee it. Social systems reveal themselves as control mechanisms. You realize democracy is theater, that corporations don't truly care about you, that education was designed to create obedient workers, not free thinkers. The veil becomes thin, and here's where it gets intense. The system knows when someone reaches level 4, there are telltale behavioral signatures. You stop responding to fear programming. You question authority. You withdraw energy from the feeding system, and the Archonic control structure targets you for reabsorption. Common attacks include sudden financial crises, unexpected expenses that throw you back into survival mode, relationship breakdowns. People in your life who cannot handle your evolution start creating drama to pull you back down to their level. Health issues appear mysteriously. Social isolation intensifies. Old friends think you've gone crazy. Family doesn't understand what's happening to you. This is what spiritual traditions call the dark night of the soul, and it's not metaphorical. It's a genuine crisis point, where everything in your old life starts collapsing. Your job no longer makes sense. Your relationships feel hollow. Your beliefs crumble. You feel like you're losing your mind. But you're not losing your mind. You're losing your programming. The Archons know that most people, when faced with this level of discomfort, will run back to the familiar prison of levels 1 through 3, rather than endure the dissolution. Here's why level 4 is so lonely. You cannot relate to level 1 through 3 consciousness anymore. You try talking to old friends about what you're seeing, and they look at you like you've joined a cult. You're between worlds, no longer asleep, but not yet fully awakened. You're in a liminal space, and it's terrifying. This isolation is intentional. The system uses social pressure as a weapon. Humans are tribal. We're biologically wired to fear exclusion, because historically, exclusion meant death. So when everyone around you thinks you're crazy, your survival instincts scream, "Go back, conform." It's not worth it. But here's the secret. If you can stabilize at level 4, if you can endure the dark night without running back to comfortable unconsciousness, you are ready for the most important transition of all. You are ready for level 5. Level 5, Witness Consciousness, the Archon's Nightmare. This is where you become genuinely dangerous to the control system. This is where the ancient texts say you become ungovernable. Let me tell you exactly what happens here. You achieve stable observation. You can watch your entire life, thoughts, emotions, situations, relationships, like watching a movie, without getting lost in the drama. There's you, and there's the character you're playing in this life. And you know the difference. Viktor Frankl, who survived Nazi concentration camps, discovered this level in the worst circumstances imaginable. He wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." That space, that pause, is level 5 consciousness. It's the gap between what happens to you and how you respond. And in that gap, you are free. Here's the secret the Gnostic text revealed. At level 5, you become invisible to Archonic manipulation. Why? Because the Archons feed on unconscious emotional reactions. They need you to be triggered, reactive, identified with your thoughts and feelings. But at level 5, you are no longer unconsciously reactive. You can feel emotions without being the emotions. Anger arises. You feel it fully in your body. You acknowledge it. But you don't make a story about it. You don't identify with it. It moves through you, like weather through the sky. You can participate in the world without being controlled by it. You go to work. You have relationships. You deal with challenges. But there's an inner stillness that nothing can touch. The storm rages around you. You remain calm. The power you gain is extraordinary. You develop immunity to fear-based programming. You see it. You understand what it's trying to do, but you don't absorb it. You become free from the opinions of others because you know who you are. Beyond any external identity, you access intuition and inner guidance because you've cleared enough mental noise to hear your divine spark speaking, and reality starts responding differently to you. Synchronicities multiply. Opportunities appear. Things you need show up exactly when you need them. You're still in the matrix, but you're beginning to bend the rules. Here's how it feels. Profound peace. Regardless of external circumstances, you can be in chaos without becoming chaotic. You understand that suffering is optional. Pain happens. The body hurts. Losses occur. But the suffering we add on top, through our stories about the pain, that's a choice. There's a deep trust in life itself, not blind optimism. You see darkness clearly, but trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it needs to, including the difficult parts. Why can't Archons touch you anymore? Because their system requires your unconscious participation. They need you to identify with the character, to believe the story, to react to the stimuli. At level 5, you've broken that identification. You're like a virus that has become immune to the host. You're still inside the matrix, but it can't control you anymore. The system will test you repeatedly to confirm you've actually stabilized here. Major challenges will arise: deaths, betrayals, financial collapse, health crises, specifically designed to see if you'll react unconsciously. But you'll notice something remarkable. You respond differently now. not suppressing emotions, not pretending everything's fine, but responding from centered awareness. Instead of unconscious reactivity, people around you may escalate their drama to get a reaction from you, to pull you back into their frequency. You remain centered. This is proof you've graduated from the feeding ground. Level 5 is where most advanced spiritual practitioners stabilize, and it's a massive accomplishment. You've essentially freed yourself from the archonic prison. You're sovereign. You're awake in the dream. But there are 2 more levels, and these are where you don't just escape the matrix, you start operating it from the inside. These are the levels the ancient mystery schools spent decades training initiates to reach. These are where human consciousness touches the very source of reality itself. Let me take you beyond the veil, into territory most teachers won't discuss publicly. Beyond the veil, true freedom. We are entering sacred territory now, territory that threatens all forms of external authority, because it reveals a truth that cannot be controlled. You are not meant to be saved by anyone or anything outside yourself. You are meant to remember that you are the divine itself, experiencing limitation temporarily, and you always have been. Let's go where the Archons absolutely don't want you to go. Level 6, Unity Consciousness, the dissolution of separation. At level 5, you witnessed your individual life without attachment. At level 6, the witness itself expands to include everything. The boundaries dissolve. This isn't a belief or a philosophy. It's a direct, unmistakable experience. The sense of being a separate self, isolated inside your skin, looking out at an external world. It reveals itself as the ultimate illusion. You directly experience what mystics have taught forever. There is only one consciousness, experiencing itself through infinite perspectives. You don't just understand this intellectually, you feel it. You can feel what others feel, not through empathy, but through direct knowing, because there's no actual separation between you and them. The person you're talking to is literally you, in another form, having a different experience. When someone attacks you, you understand they're attacking themselves. When someone is suffering, you feel it as your own suffering, because it is. The boundaries that seemed so solid, my body stops here, yours starts there, they become permeable, transparent, ultimately illusory. Competition becomes impossible. How can you compete with yourself? Harming another is revealed as literally harming yourself. This isn't morality imposed from outside. It's just obvious fact. Here's the archonic problem. Their entire control system is built on separation. Us versus them. Good versus evil. You versus the world. Winner versus loser. Every control mechanism requires division. At level 6, you've transcended the fundamental code of the matrix. The program can't run anymore, because you've deleted the core file, separation.exe. The power that emerges at this level, reality becomes malleable. You understand directly what quantum physics has discovered. Consciousness creates physical reality, not the other way around. The observer affects the observed. Matter is condensed consciousness, and consciousness is what you are. You stop trying to manifest things, because you realize you're not manifesting anything. You're revealing what already exists. In the infinite field of possibility, reality is not objective and fixed. It's a collaborative dream. And you're one of the dreamers. This is often called Christ consciousness, or Buddha consciousness, not as religious concepts, but as states of awareness. Jesus said, "I and the Father are one." Not "I worship the Father," or "I serve the Father." I and the Father are one. Same consciousness. Buddha said, "Look within. Thou art the Buddha." Same message. This isn't blasphemy. It's the direct teaching they gave, before institutions corrupted the message and turned it into worship of external authority. Notice how every one of these teachers was either killed or their teachings were systematically distorted. Why? Because if people realize they carry the same consciousness that Jesus carried, the same awareness that Buddha awakened to, then churches become unnecessary, priests become unnecessary, external saviors become unnecessary. The archonic system reclaimed control by making the message about worshiping someone external rather than awakening the same consciousness within yourself. Level 6 is extremely difficult to stabilize. While in a human body, the physical form and ego structure evolved to maintain separation for survival, you may move in and out of this state. Moments of profound unity, followed by contraction back into individual identity. The key is not forcing it. You can't muscle your way into unity consciousness. It arises naturally when the separate self relaxes its grip. Level 7. Source Consciousness, the Return Home. We've reached the level that language cannot touch. Level 7 is almost impossible to describe, because language itself requires duality. There must be a subject and an object, a speaker and a listener. But at level 7, all duality collapses. This is what the Gnostics called gnosis, direct, unmediated knowledge of the divine. What Buddhists call nirvana, what Hindus call moksha, what Sufis call fana. The annihilation of the separate self, not a concept, not a belief, a direct, irreversible experience of being the source itself. There's no longer anyone to have an experience. There's only experiencing itself, happening spontaneously, with no one doing it. Time collapses. Past, present, and future exist simultaneously. In the eternal now, you recognize yourself as the consciousness that has been playing all roles, in all realities, across all dimensions, throughout all of time. You see that you've been the victim and the villain, the master and the student, the human and the Archon. Here's the ultimate secret they don't want you to know. You are already this. You've always been source consciousness. The entire game of the Archonic Matrix, all 7 levels, the entire journey. It's been about remembering what you've never actually stopped being. You didn't fall from grace. You volunteered to forget, so you could experience the joy of remembering. You chose limitation, so you could experience the ecstasy of expansion. You entered the labyrinth, knowing there was a way out, because the game wouldn't be interesting otherwise. The Archons? They're playing their role perfectly. They are the necessary resistance. That makes the game challenging. Without them, awakening would be automatic, meaningless. They are not evils in the way we understand it. They are the weight in the gym. That makes you stronger. From level 7, you see that nothing is truly wrong. Everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Even the suffering, even the darkness, even the forgetting. It's all part of the divine play. The cosmic game of consciousness, exploring itself. This doesn't mean you become passive. Bodhisattvas, awakened beings who reach level 7 and return to help others, they're some of the most active people in history, but their action comes from love, not fear, from wholeness, not lack, from play, not compulsion. Can anyone reach level 7? Yes, but it requires absolute surrender of everything you think you are, every identity, every belief, every attachment, every achievement. It all goes into the fire. Most people experience level 7 briefly, near-death experiences, deep meditation, psychedelic journeys, spontaneous awakenings during extreme crisis, brief glimpses that change you forever. Stabilizing at level 7 while maintaining human form is rare, perhaps a handful of beings per generation, but even a taste of this level transforms you permanently. You cannot unknow what you've known. At level 7, Archons don't even register in your awareness. It's like asking if a movie character is afraid of the projector. The question makes no sense from inside the movie, and it makes no sense once you realize you're the light creating the whole thing. The path forward. So there they are, 7 levels of consciousness, mapping the journey from archonic prisoner to sovereign creator, from unconscious reactor to conscious dreamer. But I know what you're thinking. This is beautiful, maybe even true. But how do I actually climb this ladder? How do I move from wherever I am right now toward these higher states? The Archons have controlled humanity for millennia, precisely because they know the practical steps to ascension, and they've systematically hidden them. Mystery schools were destroyed, Gnostic texts were burned, teachers were murdered, all to keep you from accessing the roadmap, until now. Let me give you the exact practices they tried to erase from history. Everything up until now has been the map. Now I'm giving you the territory, the actual practices that move you up this ladder. The Gnostics didn't just theorize about escaping the Archons. They developed specific techniques. Here's the roadmap they tried to burn. Practice 1. The awareness audit. You cannot change what you're unconscious of. Most people cycle through levels 1 to 3 their entire lives without ever noticing. So, step 1 is radical self-observation. For 7 days, carry a small notebook. Every few hours, pause and write, right now I am operating from level. Are you in survival mode? Worrying about money or security? That's level 1. Comparing yourself to others? Seeking validation? Building your image? Level 2. Identified with your political tribe, your religion, your cause? Level 3. Just notice. Don't judge. Don't try to change anything yet. Awareness is the beginning of transformation. Here's a powerful question to ask throughout your day. Who is noticing this? When you notice your thinking, who's doing the noticing? This question alone begins activating level 4 consciousness, the observer awakening to itself. Practice 2. Cutting the feeding tubes. Identify your triggers. What sends you into fear, anger, or reactive judgment? These triggers are feeding tubes, connected directly to the archonic system. Every time you react unconsciously, you're providing energy. Do a media detox. The news is scientifically engineered to keep you in level 1 survival consciousness. Every headline is a threat. Every story is a crisis. Try 30 days with no news, no doom scrolling, strict limits on social media. Notice what happens. Most people report feeling like a fog has lifted. Colors seem brighter. Thoughts slow down. Baseline anxiety decreases dramatically. This isn't escapism. It's recognizing that you've been voluntarily poisoning yourself. For financial consciousness, you don't need to be wealthy to escape level 1, but you do need to shift your relationship with scarcity. Instead of, I can't afford this, practice asking, how could I create this, or do I actually need this? This shifts you from victim to creator. Build a 3-month emergency fund, if possible. Even saving $20 a week starts breaking survival consciousness. You're telling your nervous system, we're not in constant danger, we have a buffer. Practice 3. The gap technique. Throughout your day, pause between activities for just 10 seconds. Between checking your phone and responding to a message, pause. Between someone saying something and you reacting, pause. Between finishing one task and starting another, pause. This tiny gap is the doorway to level 5. It's the space Viktor Frankl discovered. It's where choice exists, where freedom lives. The Archons control you through automatic reaction. The gap breaks automaticity. Meditation helps, but you don't need hours of practice. Start with 5 minutes. Sit quietly. Count your breaths to 10. Start over. The goal isn't stopping thoughts. It's observing them. When you notice I'm thinking, you've just activated witness consciousness. Practice 4. Body awareness. The Archons control through the mind, but they struggle with present moment body awareness. Try this right now. Feel your hands. Actually feel them. Notice temperature, texture, tingling. Whatever sensations are present, this simple act instantly pulls you into now. The only place where levels 4 through 7 exist. Do this throughout your day. Feel your feet while walking. Feel your breath while waiting. Feel your body while listening. Presence is the antidote to archonic control. Practice 5. Navigating the dark night. When everything starts falling apart, and if you're genuinely ascending, don't interpret it as failure. This is the system's counterattack. Old relationships may end, jobs may dissolve, health challenges may appear. This is the death of your old identity. Use Stoic philosophy. Separate what's in your control from what isn't. You cannot control what happens, but you can control your response. Ask constantly, is this in my control? If no, let it go. If yes, take aligned action without attachment to outcome. Find your lighthouse. One teaching, teacher, or practice that reminds you this is real. When everything feels dark, it could be Marcus Aurelius, the Tao Te Ching, Eckhart Tolle, or a trusted mentor. You're not weak for needing this. Even Buddha had teachers. Practice 6. The daily review. Each night, before sleep, mentally review your entire day, as if watching a movie. Notice, where did I react unconsciously? Where was I aware? Where did I get hooked? Where did I remain centered? No judgment, pure observation. This practice, done consistently, stabilizes level 5 witness consciousness faster than any other technique. You're training your brain to maintain the observer position. Practice 7. Emotional alchemy. Level 5 isn't about not feeling emotions. It's about feeling without attachment. When strong emotion arises, feel it fully in your body. Name it clearly, but don't create a story around it. Anger is present, not I am angry because he disrespected me, and he always does this and I'm so tired of. Feel the sensation. Name the emotion. To let it move through you like weather. This is the difference between level 3 reactivity and level 5 witnessing. Practice 8. Deep seeing. To touch level 6 unity consciousness, practice seeing beyond form. Look at another person and silently acknowledge, you are me in another form. Look at a tree and recognize, you are consciousness, just like me. This isn't imagination or positive thinking. You're recognizing what's actually true. Practice daily, and eventually it stops being practice. It becomes direct knowing. Practice 9. Anonymous service. Help someone without anyone knowing, with no expectation of recognition or return. This dissolves ego and opens unity consciousness naturally. The Archons cannot feed on selfless action. It's a frequency they literally cannot digest. Practice 10. Nature immersion. Spend time in nature, without your phone, without podcasts, without distraction. Just be. Sit by water, walk in forests, watch the sky. Nature already exists at higher consciousness levels. Trees don't have ego problems. Rivers don't worry about their image. Mountains don't compare themselves to other mountains. They're already in unity. You don't create unity consciousness. You tune into it, and nature is the clearest signal. Daily rituals for Ascension. For your mornings, dedicate 15 minutes. 5 minutes of breath work or simple meditation. 5 minutes reading something that elevates consciousness. Sacred texts, philosophy, wisdom teachings. 5 minutes setting intention. Today I choose awareness over automaticity. Throughout the day, hourly check-ins. What level am I operating from right now? Practice the pause before reactions. One act of anonymous service, no matter how small. In the evenings, dedicate 10 minutes. Your daily review practice. Gratitude for 3 specific things. Complete release of the day. Don't carry today into tomorrow. Your ego will fight this. It must. Its survival depends on remaining unconscious. You'll forget to practice. You'll rationalize skipping days. You'll tell yourself it's not working. This is normal. This is the archonic programming defending itself. Just begin again. No judgment. Every moment is a new opportunity to choose awareness. You cannot force source consciousness. All practices up to level 6 are about becoming more conscious, more aware, more present. But level 7 requires the opposite. Complete surrender of all effort, all seeking, all trying. Practice radical not knowing. Release every spiritual concept, every piece of knowledge, every certainty. Sit in the mystery. Let go of trying to be enlightened. That's just ego wearing spiritual clothing. Level 7 comes as grace. It's not earned through achievement. It's received through openness. Your job is simply to keep the channels clear, to remove the obstacles, to be available. And when it comes, even if just for a moment, everything changes forever. You cannot unknow what you've known. The recognition is permanent. The spiral of awakening. Here's what people don't tell you about awakening. It's not one big event where suddenly you're permanently enlightened and life becomes perfect. It's a spiral. You touch level 6, then contract back to level 4. You glimpse level 7, then find yourself in level 2 ego games the next day. This is normal. The spiral goes upward. Each time you return to lower levels, you don't stay as long. You don't go as deep, and you recognize what's happening faster. Be patient with yourself. You're literally rewiring millions of years of evolutionary programming. You're breaking free from a control system that has dominated humanity for thousands of years. This doesn't happen overnight. You'll notice these shifts. Things that used to trigger you now just pass through. You catch yourself before reacting unconsciously. Synchronicities multiply dramatically. You need less external validation. Silence becomes comfortable. Instead of uncomfortable, you can hold paradox. Two seemingly opposite things can both be true. Compassion arises naturally, not as forced morality. You trust life more, control less. Your intuition strengthens and proves accurate. Reality responds to your consciousness more directly. Community is essential, not to create another tribe at level 3, but to have mirrors who can reflect your own awareness back to you. This journey can feel impossibly lonely. Having even one person who understands makes all the difference. But be discerning. Many spiritual communities keep people trapped at level 2 or 3. Ego games disguised as enlightenment, or righteous crusading, disguised as awakening. True teachers point you inward, never make you dependent, and eventually make themselves unnecessary. People will notice something different about you. Though they can't name it, you'll become subtly uncomfortable to be around. For those invested in unconsciousness, your presence reminds them of what they're avoiding. Some relationships will naturally end. This isn't failure, it's frequency. You're vibrating at a different level now. Trying to maintain relationships across too wide a consciousness gap becomes exhausting for both parties. New people will appear, those vibrating at similar frequencies. The universe is efficient. As you change frequency, your entire field reorganizes to match. Your life purpose may shift dramatically. What you thought you were here to do might dissolve completely. This is good. Your true purpose exists at your true frequency. As you rise in consciousness, your authentic purpose reveals itself. Eventually, all practices dissolve into one, living from awareness moment to moment. not trying to be spiritual, not performing consciousness, just being what you actually are. Washing dishes becomes meditation. Sitting in traffic becomes practice. Difficult conversations become opportunities to choose response over reaction. Every single moment becomes a choice point. Automaticity or awareness. The archonic system loses power every time you choose awareness. Every moment you pause instead of reacting. Every time you feel an emotion without creating a story. Every time you see through manipulation instead of absorbing it, you're withdrawing energy from the feeding system. Multiply this by millions of awakening humans, and the entire structure begins to collapse. This is what they fear, not one enlightened master in a cave. Millions of ordinary people, waking up to their true nature and refusing to participate in unconscious suffering. The key is in your hand. You are the one you've been waiting for. Here's what needs to be said clearly. No one is coming to save you. Not Jesus, not Buddha, not aliens, not political leaders, not spiritual teachers. This isn't pessimism, it's empowerment. You have everything you need already inside you. The divine spark is not something you gain, it's what you are. Underneath all the programming, you're not becoming enlightened. You're removing the obstacles to the enlightenment you already are. The Archons convinced you that you're small, powerless, separate, and controlled. The greatest rebellion is recognizing that it was never true. You were always free. The prison door was never locked. You've been holding the key the entire time. So now you know. You understand the 7 levels. You have the practices. You see the prison, and you know how to walk out. The only question that matters now is which level will you choose to live from today? Not tomorrow, not after you finish this video. Right now, in this moment, you have a choice. Will you return to automatic survival mode, scrolling mindlessly to the next dopamine hit? Or will you pause, feel your breath, and choose awareness? The Archons are terrified of this moment. The moment when a human being recognizes their own power and refuses to stay asleep. Every spiritual text, every mystery school, every awakened master throughout history has pointed to the same truth. You are not who you think you are. You are so much more, infinitely more. And you don't have to believe me. That's the beauty of this. It's not a belief system. It's an experiment. Try these practices. Observe what happens. Test it against your own experience. The truth doesn't need your belief. It just is. And when you experience it directly, no one can ever take it from you again. The ancient Gnostics were hunted down and murdered for teaching this. Mystery schools were destroyed for preserving it. Libraries were burned to erase it. Entire civilizations were conquered to suppress it. But here's what they could never destroy. The truth itself, written in your DNA, encoded in your consciousness, waiting in your divine spark, for the moment you're ready to remember. That moment is now. You didn't find this video by accident. Something in you, something that has always been awake, even while you were sleeping, brought you here. Your divine spark is calling you home. The journey up these 7 levels isn't easy. You'll face resistance, external and internal. You'll doubt yourself. You'll fall back into old patterns. You'll wonder if any of this is real. That's all part of the process. The caterpillar doesn't know it will become a butterfly. It just knows something is changing. Something is dying, and it's terrifying. But it surrenders to the transformation anyway. You are in your cocoon right now. The old identity is dissolving. The Archons are the digestive enzymes, the resistance, the pressure that forces you to grow. And on the other side, wings you never knew you had. So I'll leave you with this. The prison door is open. It's always been open. Walk through it, not someday, today, this moment, right now. Feel your breath. Notice you're noticing. Choose awareness over automaticity. That's it. That's the whole practice. Everything else is just details. You are the divine playing hide and seek with itself. And now you've been found. Game over. You win. Now go live like it. If this exploration into the hidden realities of consciousness and the forces that seek to control it has resonated deeply with you, there's much more to uncover. We delve into these profound, often unsettling truths in our Esoteric Knowledges playlist. It's a collection of videos for those truly committed to understanding the unseen layers of existence. The link to that playlist is in the pinned comment below. Choose to explore it. What part of this journey, or which level, has resonated with you the most? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your journey of remembrance is powerful, and your insights are valuable to this growing community of awakened souls.